A couple of episodes ago, I talked about things I like to do whenever I first install macOS or when I first restored from System Restore or whatever else. So I'm going to just follow that up with a couple of other things here. So first of all, Finder. Right? In Finder, you'll see whenever I load up Finder, by default, this is the kind of view that you get. Okay, usually it will come to like the Recents folder or something like that. And you have different views here up at the top. Now, here's the thing, is that Apple and macOS specifically locks you in to like these locations. You can't really go anywhere else that's not like directly underneath your control. Okay, so you see applications and then everything else is underneath your user profile. Okay, so what if you want to get out of your user profile? Well, you could always use the command line, all right? So, like, for example, if I do cd, well, first I'll just show you where I am. pwd, I'm in my user profile, okay? If I want to get out of that, cd ... c and then cd ... again, and it takes me to the actual root of the drive, okay? So I can do it that way, or I can do cd / and it will take me again to the root of the drive because / is top of that drive that I'm looking at, okay? I could then do open, right? Open space dot for the current directory as we talked about earlier on. And when I do that, you can see it brings up that I am now in Macintosh HD, right? So that is the top level of where I'm looking at, okay? So I can do it that way, but I'm going to leave that because it's not convenient to navigate through the terminal all the time. So what I like to do instead is go up to View, go to Show Path Bar, right? It doesn't work on Recents, I'll show you in a second, and then View, Show Status Bar, okay? Once I've done that, if I now go into Applications, for example, you'll see that this is where we are, and down here is where we are, and the parent folder of where we are, which is the actual hard drive itself, okay? Same again, if we go into Downloads, it shows hard drive, users, username, downloads, okay? Same with pictures, music, videos, all those kinds of stuff tell you exactly where you are. Now, whenever you look at desktop and documents, remember, we have desktop and documents synced via iCloud, and so they show their parent as iCloud, okay? Now, one of the things which I like to do is, because I like to get access to my home directory quite often, is if I just click on one of these and I hold down the button on my user profile and drag it, you can see the little home directory there means I can click on that. It will take me back to my home directory whenever I want to. So that's the address bar, and then the status bar down at the bottom tells you how many items are in the current view and how much space you have left on that drive. All right, so that's the first thing that I like to do. So the next thing I like to do is if I go into the settings right here, I can go into General and Sharing. Okay, once inside here, you can see there's quite a few different options of ways that I can share various items. Okay, now I like to be able to log in remotely to my computers no matter where I am in the world. Now, I am protected behind like an appropriate firewall and everything else. So once I get access to my home network, I can now use remote login. Okay. Now what remote login allows to happen is what's called secure shell, or SSH, which means that I can go into a terminal, for example, and do SSH Lee Whitfield at whichever computer, right? And because this is Ronan, I'm just going to do this one. Okay, we'll just do this. You can see there it is, and it asks for the password. which it didn't like for some reason. There we go. All right. So now I'm actually logged in remotely to this computer itself. Okay. So, yeah, kind of interesting. So, I wouldn't do that normally, but it gives you the general idea, right? Is that I can log in remotely to my computer and perform commands on that computer no matter where I am in the world, right? So if I hit exit, it takes me out of the remote connection, and exit again will close that terminal. So I like to do that as well. Okay. Then the last thing that I like to do, and this is going to set up what's coming in future episodes, is that we have brew, or what's called homebrew. Now what this is that you have this command right here which you will run, and notice it finishes with install.sh. What that's going to do is if I copy that and I paste it into a window and now hit enter, it will install an application called brew. What brew will do is that it will allow me to search for and install other applications, most of which you will not find through the like the Apple Mac Store. So I'll go through what a lot of these are in the coming episodes. But once you run this, it will in fact go through quite a lengthy install process. Not only will it install brew, but it will install a few things which are required in order to make it run correctly. Then, once it's installed, you should be able to run brew install and then choose something to install. Well, how do you know what to install? Well, you can go back to the website and then go and look at the homebrew packages which are available. Okay, so you can look at formulae, for example. You can choose maybe something from inside here, but I mean it takes, as you can see, this is going to be a lot of stuff to kind of read through. You can run searches for things in there as well. There's also something called casks, and usually casks are going to be like the graphical user interface applications. So in this case, I'm going to do Brave Browser, okay? So you can see we're called Brave Browser, and it says to install, use this. Well, you don't actually have to specify cask. You used to, but not anymore. So if I just do Brave Browser, right? Now this might take a few seconds because it has to download the file and then start to install it. And once it's done, it will clean up after itself. And there you go. That's it. That's how easy it is to install something. So now, if I look for the Brave web browser, Brave browser, hit enter, you can see there it is, opening up. It says, it gives you that warning because it's been downloaded from the internet, but I'm going to hit open anyway. And then my firewall is saying, hey, this is trying to gain access to the internet. Well, yeah, it's a browser, so it's going to. I'm going to skip that, and then hit finish. And now there you go. There is the Brave browser running in all of its glory. Now, if you like to use Brave, that's great. I'm not a big fan of Brave. I prefer something else, which I'll talk about in a later episode. So let's say that I don't want Brave anymore. Well, that's quite easy. Brew, remove, Brave, browser, browser. Hit enter. And it will now go through, and it's it. It's now completely removed Brave from my system. As you can see, right? It's no longer there. So that kind of wraps up all the stuff that I do immediately after getting a Mac. But it doesn't stop necessarily there. In future episodes, we're going to come back and revisit this just to show you some of the fun or cool applications that I have installed on my system and, where they came from.